You guys look good. And you're live now. So everything you do and say will be archived forever on YouTube. So.
How do you hear?
Whichever you want.
How do the mic sound? Too loud or okay? You okay with that? Mindy or Mayor, will you check that mic? Sound okay? Check that mic.
Hello.
Good?
Hello.
You okay?
Plenty loud.
Mine has a little feedback. Maybe I just put it close to my mouth.
Can you hear me without the mic?
Turn mine down so nobody else does.
I'll just leave the mic right here, and you can hear us good. Timmy, you can hear it?
How's that? Is that any better? Better?
That's too loud. And he's got like a you were the one who was asking.
We've already got 5 people viewing. Man. It's gonna blow up. 6.
And if you've got 6 people.
Bunch of creepos.
Can you tell who's watching? Is that about it?
It would be. Zoom you can, but YouTube doesn't. The batteries are all good here, right? I can't tell. Those things are all dead, right? Nothing on there. Tell me anything about the battery. Any questions or concerns or anything?
We don't want to answer, can we just say, what time do they say that you can't, answer unless, because it'll incriminate the
You'll have 1 minute for each response. If you are mentioned or something that you talked about, mentioned, you can have 30 seconds to talk about it if you want.
1 minute.
Or if you'd like to follow up with something somebody else has said, you're welcome to do that.
Can we be like the fire truck and just talk for 5 minutes?
If you get talking too much, you won't do that, okay? If you get talking too much, just yell, yeah.
You get everything done.
It was, we have plenty, but not for me.
Yeah, we're gonna save it, yeah. Let's save it for a minute.
What'd I do with my microphone? Oh, man.
Make them mad so they won't. What? So I don't have to be here. Yeah. I thought we were just
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a winner. Welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody here. Just so you know, there's some cookies over in the window there, courtesy of the Enterprise Valley Medical Clinic. I believe Heather made every one of those and wrapped them. So we're grateful for them and the cookies. There's some water that is hopefully cold. And you're welcome, somewhat chilled, slightly chilled water. But you're welcome to get up and get that anytime you would like. We're going to go ahead and get started. Brother Councilman Jared Lindsay volunteered to say the opening prayer for us. We're going to start with a prayer. Then we'll do the pledge and we'll kind of talk about how this will go and we'll get rolling. So.
Our dear Father in heaven, we're thankful to be here tonight and to meet the candidates. We're thankful for all the blessings in our lives. We're thankful for this community and for the freedoms that we enjoy in this country. We're thankful for people who are going to run and serve in various capacities in our community. And please bless us that we will work together to help meet the needs of the city and discuss the things of the city tonight. We're again thankful for all that we have. We're thankful for the moisture that we received. And please continue to bless us with that which we need. And we say these things in Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jared. Everybody please stand and follow me in the pledge. The flag is up in the corner up there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to walk back and turn my mic down a little bit. So you can do that here. Can you still hear me? You okay? Okay. Okay, so I'll quickly just kind of go over how this is gonna go tonight. Grateful for the candidates, by the way. It's not an easy thing to run for office, and it's not an easy thing to show up and to do what they're doing tonight. But we're grateful for them and grateful for them willing to be able to serve us. So let's just give them a little round of applause before we get started, because it's great to see them. So the way this will work, the questions came from each of these guys and gals, submitted at least one question. Members of the community submitted questions, and then we just kind of put questions together from whatever we could see as needs and concerns in the community. So we will ask a question. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond. Who starts answering will just be left up to me. So we'll decide who starts. They will have 1 minute to answer. Each of them have an opportunity to answer each question if they would like. They do not have to answer each question, and some questions won't apply to every candidate. If any candidate is mentioned in somebody else's comments, or if something they said was mentioned in one of the other comments, they will have 30 seconds that they can respond to what was said about them or about their comments. So, keep it as civil as possible. Language is fairly clean, and no physical altercations. And I think we're good to go. Any questions from the candidates or the audience before we start? Let's go. Okay. We're going to go ahead and just start. Mindy, we're going to start at the end of the table with you, and we'll work down the table. Just. That's what you get for having last name D. Are you really? Please just introduce yourself, each of you, and tell us why you are running for mayor or city council.
My name is Mindy Davidson, and I was born and raised here in Enterprise. I love Enterprise. I have a lot of great memories growing up here. It's been on my mind for quite a few years to run for mayor, and with a little bit of push and shove from a few people, I decided that this was time. I feel like one of the main reasons I decided to run is I attended a city council meeting where a member of our town was there and asked a question about something that had been going on in the city, and I felt like the reaction of everybody there, including the city administrator, the council members, and the mayor, they all sort of looked like deer in headlights, and I felt like there was no follow-up going on from meeting to meeting, and I felt like the main thing I would like to do, being the mayor, is follow-up accountability.
Thank you. Let me quickly, Johnny's sitting next to me here. He's our timer. When you see him hold up a little green sign there, that means you have 10 seconds left. When he holds a red sign up, it means your time's up. I'll give you a few more seconds before we cut you off and move on, but green sign, 10 seconds, red sign, 0 seconds. Mayor.
No, there's only 3 of you. So I'm Brandon Humphreys. I live here in Enterprise, married a girl that grew up here, had a lot of relatives that came up. I had 3 aunts that came up, great aunts that came up and married men from Enterprise, and so our family started up in Enterprise back then. I've been your mayor for 7.5 years now, and I'm running again for the last time to finish some of the projects that we've started, and hopefully we'll see those through.
We just turn it around, can you hear? Or do I have to?
I'd hold it. We can hear better
Hear
there.
better. Gerald Hunt,
I'll turn it down. Keep going.
and I get extra seconds. Anyway, same thing, I was born and raised here. I've been in the city over the years. I've been serving as planning commission chairman for the last 6 years. Very knowledgeable in the ordinances and the way the city and the government works. And there's things that I have seen through those years that we're trying to keep Enterprise as a small community to deal with the growth and the problems that are facing us in the world today. And I just want to be able to keep Enterprise a safe, quiet community and move forward with the values and stuff that we have today.
My name is Justin Segmiller, running for city council. There's multiple reasons, I guess. It's hard to summarize it all in one, but I didn't grow up here. I grew up in St. George. My wife, again, she's from here. They get us to this town because it's an amazing little place. And I've seen the changes that happened in St. George and the growth that is inevitable. And I think that sometimes in the city, we can be a little reactive, wait until it becomes serious instead of being proactive and looking down the road. And much like Gerald said, that we need to look back and remember what's gotten us to this point and move forward with the growth that's here and making sure we have the proper infrastructure. Through my employment, met with the mayor in a different smaller town, and because just things left unchecked, they were now facing up to $6 million to fix what had been done. So just looking to hopefully make some improvements and move forward, look to the future with, a lot of hope and keep this town the way it is.
Sound like a bunch of us have a lot of the same ideas about Enterprise. I'm a lifelong Enterprise resident. I grew up here, I was born here, have known all my life. This is where I wanted to live, where I wanted to raise a family, for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons is because Enterprise is the community it is. It's safe, the people here are great, they're amazing, and so I knew that's where I want to raise a family. I think that, I've done a lot of things in my life over the course of a number of years, and been employed in a lot of different things that I think has given me some experiences in life that I think that I can use those experiences to make good decisions for our community. I think that in a lot of ways, I think our community is headed in a good direction. I think that I would just like, it's an opportunity for me to give back, to serve. This isn't one of the things in my life that I would say was a bucket list item, but it's something that I decided the last couple of months that I would do.
My name is Canton Voss. My family moved here about 15 years ago. I married a girl from Newcastle, but she went to high school here, so don't hold that against me. I've been the vice chair of the Republican precinct for this area and currently a county delegate. Over the last 5 years or so, I've started to get more involved politically, starting with the name change at Dixie State University. I was a student there and have actively worked over the last upcoming 6 years to help keep that name. And some of the changes that we've experienced with the growth and things that have happened in Southern Utah are part of what's prompted me to want to run an Enterprise. I love this town and the community, and I feel like it needs to be represented because I've seen what happens in communities where people are not proactive and they refuse to see the changes that are inevitably coming. So I felt like it was something that I would be interested in doing, is trying to get involved here in Enterprise as quickly as I could and participate with the people, all these great people, and that's why I'm running.
Thank you. The next question was submitted by Canton, so we're going to start with you, actually, if that's all right. If you could choose one issue facing the community right now, what would it be? And I'm also going to add, what would be your specific plan to address it?
So what issue would I choose?
If you could choose one issue facing the community right now.
I think one that, as I've visited with people and as people have found out that I'm running, one thing that's been continually brought up is growth. I think personally, there's not a lot that you're going to do to fight some of the growth. One thing that Justin just said was about being proactive with the infrastructure. And I think that that's something that's very important as city council and as a community is focused on, is trying to facilitate the growth that happens, whether that be with any of the infrastructure, schools, roads, all of the things that would fall under our jurisdiction. Because I think if you don't,
you end up with places like they do have around here, St. George and other areas where it's just not very functional. So that's something that I've heard and that I think definitely needs to be taken serious, is being proactive with the growth and the infrastructure that requires.
Perfect. Go ahead, just pass it back to him.
I think that probably one of the things that's on everybody's mind, in enterprise, is growth. I think a lot of people, some people are opposed to growth, some people know that it's gonna happen, and in order for us to be a vibrant, growing community, of course, growth has to happen. But I think with that growth, it has to be controlled. We can't just have unchecked growth, and, you know, we're seeing a lot of people that are moving here because, you know, they're moving out of the, you know, places like St. George and other places because they like the smaller communities. So I guess one of the things I would like to see is just some, good decisions on controlled growth and how we manage that.
I think that's the topic probably for today and where we're at is growth, and I think that's been covered quite a bit. One thing I think we're seeing more of is maybe what we've seen out here behind us today. And some of the stuff that's been happening in the community, whether it's, you know, leashes at the park, whether it's kids racing around on different things. This is just to not be the dead horse of the growth issue, but just making sure that we have things in place that they can't get out of hand like that instead of waiting till the end before it becomes a serious issue to address that in the community.
In my profession as a general contractor and working with people as they're building homes and stuff, one of my big concerns is being able to have affordable housing. That comes along with everything with the growth. Unfortunately, as you look at St. George and Cedar, every new building is apartments. We don't like apartments. It brings in congestion, a lot of different things. But we've got to be able to look at affordable, where are our kids going to live? How can they afford to buy a home? And those things that we've got to look at as far as being able to develop and provide a place for our kids to come back if they want. Yes, we're going to get a lot of new growth from people coming in, but I love to have my kids here and provide an opportunity for that. And the other part is still, we got to work on some water drainage. My time is up.
So Joe mentioned water with growth, and it's been on my mind a lot, particularly over the last 7 years, but now in the years coming up, because 2030 is the first round of cuts with the groundwater management plan within our basin. And the city stands to lose 400 acre feet of their water portfolio in that first cut. We currently have enough, but that was our bank, and that was kind of our savings account, so to speak, for the future and for the lots that are already incorporated into the city. So my focus would be on water infrastructure and making sure that our water portfolio is established for the future.
Can I just say everything everyone else said?
Yeah. Ditto.
Well, growth is the biggest issue right now, but with the growth, like the mayor just said, it's water. In all the meetings that I've been attending lately, water is the biggest issue. And even if we do get the water rights, what will the state do? Are they going to actually let us keep them? Are they going to take them? In the end, it sounds like they get to do whatever they want and let us know how we're able to use them, even if we have the water rights. So I think really it's the water rights that are the biggest issue, but I definitely agree with what Justin said. With growth comes unfortunately crime, and that kind of stinks too. I hope that we can figure out the best way to handle that. It's not always through the sheriff's department. I wish parents would try to teach accountability more to the kids, but sometimes the city has to get involved.
Sounds like growth is the issue here, and so Justin, we're probably going to beat that dead horse a little bit, but Gerald, before we move on, let's start with you. You mentioned affordable housing, And everybody does love to hate on multi-family, units. So specifically, how would you address affordable housing? How would you make it possible? Do you support multifamily housing? What would be a specific plan you would have as a city council member to help address that?
Will it squeal if I hold it far enough away? So, in my thoughts, there's a couple things. We tried to build in and out instead of going out somewhere because it costs a lot more money to run infrastructure and stuff that way. But right now, we do not have much zoning for multi-family housing. Our biggest issue is where are we gonna put it? And we've got to find a place, I think, in the future for multi-housing or some more small lot subdivision areas to be able to get the price down on property, be able to just build starter type homes or affordable housing. I don't see the price coming down anywhere in the near future on housing, but I'm afraid that at future time, we're gonna have to do that, and we need to find a place and decide where that's gonna be.
Go ahead, Justin.
I think affordable housing is very important to communities. We want our kids to come back here. With the way things have happened in the last 5 years with inflation, the cost of things, the cost of land, the cost of the infrastructure to put it in, like Gerald mentioned, I don't know if we could get it any cheaper to where it's at right now. So a lot of times for people to have a home, multifamily housing is critical to an area. Now, should that go up everywhere? Probably not. But like you said, the critical thing is making sure there's zoning set aside for these kind of things to make it possible. You know, and if somebody who has a house or multifamily, it's nice to know that something won't just pop up next to you, that if maybe you purchased it in an area because you didn't want to be near that. But I do believe there's room for all of it. And it's just to plan accordingly and to do it properly. I think it can be good. Unfortunately, costs are high, that sometimes it's the only way people can get into a home.
Go ahead, Doug.
I agree with a lot of what's been said as far as, every community has to have multi-family housing, low-cost places for people to live, there's no question about that. My thing would be, I guess if we're gonna have that kind of housing, we just need to do it the right way. What I mean by that is I would like to see things like curb and gutter put in. When the new subdivisions are going in, I don't know why we're not putting curb and gutter in those. I know that it adds to cost, but it also makes things a lot more attractive. And it's just easier to deal with things rather than having the dirt and stuff like that. So I would like to see, if we're gonna do that, we just need to do it the right way, be progressive about our ideas of going forward with that kind of stuff.
As a younger individual who has not been able to secure a home loan, I can absolutely see why individuals seek the lower income housing in places where you can have multi-family housing. That being said, I think that, as has already been mentioned, having that planned and controlled and very carefully taken care of is very important. I can say that even though I don't have a house, we can put up as many apartments as we want. The rent's still going to be high, and it's not going to lower the cost of homes. There's only so much as a community that we can, do to affect things that are outside of our control. So I'm not opposed to it. However, I think if it's going to happen, it's going to have to be something that is very carefully planned. I don't foresee it really changing the price locally a lot. So if it's going to be there, I think it needs to be something that the community is okay with, that it's very well thought out, and doesn't cause a lot of issues.
Mindy, please.
I agree that it definitely needs to be well thought out and put in proper places. I know that they just approved some more townhomes right over here on 400 East, and there's a lot of really unhappy people about that, and I would be unhappy if they were going to put a bunch of townhomes across for me. That's not what I signed up for. I don't know, and I'm just going to be honest, I don't know if it was zoned for that or not, but I know it's our responsibility as homeowners to know what things are zoned around us before we buy it, but I don't like how things just get changed here and there. So, carefully planning where they go so that we can make everybody happy. I agree that they are necessary. I'm not a big fan of it.
Just in response to that one that was just approved, that was already zoned multifamily. That street is zoned multifamily, so, from the city's perspective, I believe in property right, and I'm not knocking on Unity at all on that one, but as a property right owner, we also need to be respectful of the people who own the property and what they want to do and what their desires are to do with that property as well. I know that there's areas in town that people would be shocked would be multifamily at this point. And yes, as a property owner, as a homeowner, it's your responsibility to find out what's around you. It's not the city's responsibility to go to every homeowner and say, this is what's next door to you. You need to go and it's a possibility that they may sell that lot and somebody may want to do something different with it. It's your responsibility as a property owner to do that. So I believe property rights are important. I believe that growth is important. I believe that managing that is important. And it's all a matter of balance.
Can I have 30 seconds?
Absolutely.
Part of our decision to approve that is it has been zoned multifamily for over 20 years. It's been that way for a long time, and the developers that come in with a good plan that they are doing townhomes, but they're all gonna be individual homes, not all hooked together as a big apartment. So they're not allowed to have as many in, but it'll be a nice little community with just individual homes.
Justin, we'll go ahead and start with you on this next question. Currently in Enterprise, new construction does not have to bring in water rights to build. Our power system is being stressed. Our sewers are expensive to run and maintain. Roads are expensive to maintain. And the list goes on and on. Just maintaining the infrastructure is very expensive. How do you propose these issues are paid for and resolved? And do you believe impact fees are sufficient and a means to help cover those costs?
Will impact fees ever be sufficient? I don't know if you could ever claim that'll be sufficient for everything down the road. I do think our impact fees are, you could say a little high, you can see they're right where they should be. It depends on how you're looking at those. I think the cost down the road, we gotta figure out ways to pay for things. We don't wanna all bear the burdens on these things, whether that's, the infrastructure. If we don't have the money set aside, I'm not sure where we're at on that. Whether we look at low interest bonds, different ways to pay for things to keep costs as low as possible. I know there's some who are opposed to looking for grants to cover infrastructure, things like that. But as long as the government keeps taking money from our community, I think we should try to get some of that back. And then I think growth should pay for itself. I do believe we run into issues with drainage, some of that being in new subdivisions. And in Enoch, Cedar, these other places, is they are making the developers set aside a corner similar to what the church just did for drainage to handle the water from that subdivision and take care of itself.
Doug?
Yeah, I don't know what the current impact fees are for sure. It's been a long time since I haven't built a house here, I bought an existing home, but I am of the opinion that, the people that are building the new home should bear the burden of that impact. It's difficult for me to, think that it's fair to pass costs like that on to people that have lived here their whole life. Built a long time ago, and then we're passing costs on to them that, new growth is causing. I would be a big proponent of going out there and being proactive with trying to find any grants that are available. I know that there's money out there. I know that, back when my dad worked for the city years ago, Gail Rody did an amazing job. Part of her job was to find grants and write grants and get money for the city. I would be very much in favor of making that possibly part of someone's job to research and find monies out there that are available for, those kind of things.
So I'd like to agree with that. I think that finding options that we can to help those be paid for, where we're already doing so much. I don't think it would hurt to try to seek options where we might be able to get those options for grants. As far as the impact fees, you know, everything's probably going to feel too high at some point or another. The way that I personally think about it is it feels high when I'm thinking about I would like to buy a home in Bill Garrett does. I think it should be twice as high if someone from St. George wants to move here and build a house. So, I think that the impact fees until I agree with you are not unreasonable. You could say, as Justin said, that they're high or that they're just right. But I think seeking any help that we could get to help pay for the community without burdening the people who live here who are already paying taxes and making the community so great that everyone wants to live here is not making sense. So.
Mindy?
I think that growth should definitely pay for itself. Our developers, they want to come in and bring in these subdivisions, but they don't want to upfront the cost of putting them in. Curb and gutter is a big part of it, and I think curb and gutter helps with drainage. My subdivision and a lot of these ones over here on the east side, we have a lot of water, and it's going all over the place. And that's a big issue, and I feel like that should be in the design. That should be right in the, when they come into planning commission with their very first design, drainage should be in that design. Water, going back to the water thing, developers should bring their water. Why should the rest of us run out of water because they want to keep building homes?
And that's a great question. So what has the city been doing for water? In order for us to raise an impact fee, as the city, many of you don't know, you have to have a current study done, and the cost of that study is just not cheap. So we just currently entered into an agreement with an engineering firm to redo our water study. That costs us between $200,000 and $250,000. That is just so that we can legally raise the impact fee for water and or require a developer to bring that water with them when they come in to put a new subdivision in. That is a state requirement. So do we spend $200,000 and $250,000 on paperwork, or do we take that money and go buy water rights with it? That's a question for the city council and for the current administration and for the new administration that's going to be there. I definitely agree that new growth, that new development should pay for the growth that they incur to the city, which is what impact fees is for, and we're currently underway with those programs right now.
As Brandon mentioned, we are regulated a lot by state laws and also by our own ordinances. Right now, our ordinance in Enterprise says you do not need curb and gutter. When we had a long-term goal or a project set for Enterprise, that was the consent of most of the people in that study, was to leave Enterprise more of a small community. You get curb and gutter, now you're starting to be like the cities and making it do whatever. Back to the impact fees, the thing that you gotta understand there is impact fees are only for impact. They cannot be spent on repairs or anything of that sort there. It's only for future, if you need to build a new water tank or build a lagoon bigger or things that way. We have done a lot of studies on that in the Planning Commission, and we feel that at this point, we can't raise them or anything because of the restrictions that we're governed by.
Now, we have four candidates up here running for 2 positions on the city council. If whichever 2 of you win, you will be assigned different responsibilities by the mayor. Is that correct, Mayor? Does the mayor assign what they're responsible for?
In conjunction with the city council, yeah.
Okay.
It's not a dictatorship in my
But ultimately, it's the mayor's decision on what's going to be with some discussion. Okay. So, Mindy, let's start with you. Will you just talk for a minute and let us know your understanding of what the responsibilities the city council may have?
Like as far as the responsibilities that, like streets.
Absolutely.
Public safety is one. Do you just want me to go over like each one individually or just explain to them the things they're going to be over.
However you want to do it.
Well, what would
Just so they understand they're gonna have responsibilities.
Yes, you're definitely gonna have responsibilities. If you go into the city council room, there is the actual board there with names, and it tells you exactly who's over what. Some people are over personnel, some people are over the water department, street department, sewer. I believe they even like the internet is on there. So I feel like if I was to be made the elected mayor, I would take everybody in and kind of do a one-on-one interview with you and get your strengths and your weaknesses and see what interests you and see what you want to be over, because you shouldn't just be over like this enterprise if that's something you don't want to be over.
So one thing that came up that I noticed when I got my ballot, and many of you may have noticed this too, and I was a little disappointed in it, to be honest with you, is it states for the mayor, because there's two people that are running, it says vote for one. For city council members, it says you can vote for up to two. I would definitely suggest that you vote for two, not just up to two, and because I mean, if you just vote for one, that's really not saying much, in my opinion. As far as the assignments that are there, there's a lot of assignments that are there, and there's more that are coming as we grow as a community. So the thing that we have tried to do previously, and that I would do as well, is whoever comes onto the council, find out where their strengths are, make sure that we try to assign that. Like Mindy laughs about the Miss Enterprise, and Delbert Staley now is Miss Enterprise, and he's over there shaking his head. And I said, Delbert, you pick. Who else on the council? Mindy needs to be over. Anyway, my time's up.
We're gonna, with you four, you know, many people run for city council because they have a specific issue they're worried about, or something specific, and within a few months, that issue may be resolved, or it may not be resolved, and whatever your reason for running now is gone. So, this question was submitted by Mindy, but how can you assure us that you will be committed to fulfilling the responsibilities of your position and following through for at least the 4 years that you're elected for? Go ahead, Daryl.
That should apply to the mayors too.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, I'm pretty well committed. I've been on the planning commission for 6 years. I've got a lot invested at this point over the years. I've seen a lot of the problems, a lot of the growth, everything that we've been going through. And one of the things, my main reason for running is two things. One is to see for safety, there's things that we maybe need to implement in our city that might not be an ordinance, but a goal that we can set to try and keep safe things here. Also, my other concern is enforcement. There's a lot of rules and regulations and ordinances that we have that are not being enforced. And that's one of my goals, is to see what we can do about moving forward with enforcement of these ordinances.
I think most of us probably weighed that decision that hey, this is a 4-year commitment. It is something. I have a handful of things I'd like to see change, not necessarily one pet issue, like Gerald mentioned. It feels like there's a lot of stuff that's kind of in chaos in the city. Nothing's been enforced for a long time, things like that. But if things like that get taken care of, my responsibility would still be to each one of you, especially those who are making the effort to come out, go to the meetings, and everybody here and watching it online. I served as a Republican precinct chair here many years ago and was a state delegate. We met with a state representative running for a position, and we met with him, and he asked us as a delegate, and he said, "Do you answer to your constituents?" And I said, "Yes. You know, that's who sent me here." And he said, "No, decision's yours. You do what you want to do while you're in that position." And I didn't agree with that at all. He got elected later on, kind of kicked out for a scandal. That didn't surprise me. But my responsibility is to each one of you. It's not just my pet ideas.
You know, I think if I was lucky enough to be elected to this position, it's something I would definitely see through my 4 years. I mean, I'm one of those guys that believes if you start something, you need to finish it. So it's not something I'd ever consider, to, you know, to say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. I think one of the things that I would think that would be, something really important for me and any of us as a councilman or a mayor is just to listen. I mean, we're basically working for the community. We're trying to do what they want to do, and, with also some other, you know, the other knowledge we'll get from different things, make objective decisions that will be in the best interest of the community of Enterprise. So that's, yeah.
So I would also be committed to the 4 years. I think it's a big commitment, but it's something that I felt like was very worthwhile before I ever decided that I wanted to run. A few years ago, I went to a meeting at the state capitol with some folks down here in southern Utah. And we had things that we were going to go and meet and talk about with some state representatives. And we went and were completely ignored the entire meeting. They gave each of us 30 seconds to talk to them. We were cut off after 30 seconds. And most of them were on their phones texting and visiting while I was there. And I, you know, took a day off work and I came up from down here all the way up there. So one thing that I think is extremely important is to represent your constituents. There's going to be a lot of issues that come up, and they may last a few months or a few years. But I think that what made me want to run is the desire to represent our community. The reason why everyone wants to live here, the reason why we have issues, is because it's so great and it deserves to be represented.
Do you want to let us answer that one?
Sure, if you'd like to answer, go for it.
So one thing that I've learned in politics is it seems like it's really quick, that things happen really quick. Somebody has a problem, you bring it to the city council, you just resolve the problem. We've been working on several issues for 7 years, and we're finally starting to see the results of those issues. And so that's the reason why I said at the very first that I wanted to run for another term, is to follow through with what I said I was going to do. With our water rights, there's some things that are happening with our water rights right now that we're working on with return flow credits and some of these different resources that are available to us. I want to see those through. The storm drain that we put in, many of you have noticed over the last several years, we haven't had the flooding in downtown Enterprise that we used to have. We completed a few projects on 550 South. Takes all the water from the high school out to Spring Creek. We completed the drainage crossing at 200 East on Main Street that took away a lot of that. Monday, you're going to start seeing culverts delivered up to the I wanted to call it the cafe, sorry, the cafe up there. You're going to see those culverts. We're finally crossing Main Street with a 625 big culvert project that's there. Those are the types of things that I want to see through, and it takes time. So if you just think that you just jump right in like I did, very naive, I'm thinking we can solve all the problems that exist in the city just overnight. Just tell us what your problems are, we'll solve them, we'll fix it. I'm kind of a fixer kind of guy. It doesn't happen that way, especially when you're dealing with the state and city organizations.
Sorry, I just totally did that. I'll be more respectful.
I don't have an agenda, I'm just here to serve, and, with that being said, I know there's a lot of issues going on in the community, and I wish that people would bring their concerns to the meetings. It's sort of the same few people who attend the meetings. Everyone else just wants to do a lot of complaining from home. I wish that they would come and address their concerns to the council and the mayor, and that's how we fix issues, and I'm committed to trying to help fix the issues that the people have.
We're going to talk about code enforcement. That was brought up a couple of times there. Code enforcement has been an issue in Enterprise since I've been here. You have people who come in and try to follow the rules, and they get told, no, you can't do it. You have people who don't come in and ask, and they do what they want, and there's no consequences for them doing what they want. And I just want to give you an example. Years ago, when I was on the planning commission, a couple came in and wanted to build a second living quarter on their property to help take care of their aging parents. Because in the ordinance at that time, second living quarters weren't allowed, we had to tell them no. Well, right when we told them no, we immediately had a discussion about the multiple homes within the last 12 years that also built second living quarters on their property. And lots of them were being used for rentals, different things. But they didn't ask permission, they got to do it, and there was no consequences for them doing it. So, that being said, and I mean, we could talk about a lot of other issues with animals and whatnot, where ordinances are not being enforced. So this question, and it actually was submitted by Gerald Hunt. I know code enforcement is definitely one of your hot topics. What is your take on code enforcement, and how would you resolve the issue?
You asked the question.
I asked the question, now I'm stuck with the answer. We could talk for a long time on code enforcement. There's a real kind of a fine, in my opinion, like Brandon said, you own the property, you ought to be able to do a lot of things that you want with your own property. But then you've got to also realize that if it affects your neighbor or anything like that, then that's where we've kind of got to step in and draw the line. And like I say, in my industry, trying to get permits and different things, I've had a lot of people want to do the secondary homes and everything, and we try to go through the hoops and do it correct and do it right. But then, like Ben said, is you look down the street and there's two houses down there that are renting their basements out, or they've got an apartment, or they've got this, that they didn't even get permission, they didn't pay an impact fee, but yet they've got two families living there. Those are things. In order to, in my opinion, we need to hire an outside enforcement officer that is not a local person that people are gonna stone to death or anything that way. He doesn't need to be on the payroll for more than maybe 5 hours a week, but it's something that we could move forward with as a start to start getting some of these enforcement things taken care of. I don't know how we take and correct those that are already in place, but we definitely could be a lot more stringent on things that go forward, moving forward that way. I still got 5 more minutes to talk. No.
You could use it, couldn't you? Go ahead, Justin.
I think, Jared, I may have talked about this, last summer I drove through Paraguna for the first time, and in one of the driveways was the Cedar City code enforcement truck. And I thought, that's perfect, if you're gonna have code enforcement, make sure it's outside of town, so you're not related to them, you're not, any way like that. But I think the biggest issue we're facing with some of the enforcement is our ordinances. Our ordinances, a lot of them are from the 80s, 90s, some early 2000s. How much those apply today in the way we're structured now? Our town has grown. I think we need to take a good hard look at those and then make sure everybody's aware of them. And then from there, and enforce it. Right now, the thing is, I've been at the meetings where they consider stop signs all across town. I know everybody loves them. But a lot of the issue was, hey, there's motorcycles racing through town. All this kind of stuff. We need to throw stop signs. Well, let's address the real issue with the ordinances, and then, instead of just putting a Band-Aid up like a stop sign, hoping that'll fix it.
I would agree with a lot of what has been said. I think that if we've got some ordinances that we're not gonna enforce, we gotta get rid of them, period. And I've had a personal experience with that. I went to the city, years ago about building a storage building out behind my house. I found out what size of building I could build without getting a building permit. And I built that building just under what I needed, because if I build it bigger, I have to get a building permit. Well, then I talked to a bunch of people and see other people buildings out behind their house, and I asked them how much they had to pay for their building permit. Oh, we didn't get one. We just didn't tell anybody, we just did it. So my feeling is on that, if we're not gonna enforce our ordinances, we need to get rid of them. But if we have ordinances, we've got to enforce them.
I also think outsourcing enforcement would make it easier to enforce it. But I think, as has already been said, what ordinances exist, and I'm not huge on having a lot of regulation and a lot of ordinances, but the things that are here need to be enforced. And I think on the issue of the second dwelling, that's not going to go away. Housing continues to go up, things continue to get expensive, and a lot of people want to move here. So I think if that's going to be something, or there are ordinances that exist that are not being enforced, we need to revisit, find what things we feel as a community are necessary, make that very, very clear, and then stick to those things so that it becomes a part of the culture. As time goes on, people won't do it because it gets enforced, and then after a while, I don't think it will be such an issue.
Mindy?
Oh, this is an issue. You know, you were on the planning commission years ago. How many years ago was that? You were writing ordinances. I quit my job at the city 4 years ago, and the whole time, the 5 years I worked there, they were rewriting ordinances. I still to this day have never seen anything like come through with any of it done and passed, and these are our ordinances. So for me, I kind of think it's a joke. Let's get it done. It should have been done 15 years ago. They've been working on it for a long time. Gerald knows. I was there with Gerald when he worked there. I actually presented the idea to Adam when I was working there, that it would be a great idea to bring someone from St. George to be code enforcement officer. They're not related to everybody. They're not your neighbor. You don't go to church with them. You don't have to fill bathrooms and write a ticket. And you do get the money. They did not believe me that if you write a ticket, you get the money. They'll put a lien on your home, and when the home sells in 25 years, the city will get their money.
Okay. So, one of the first things that happened when Gerald became the chairman of the planning commission was look over the ordinances, whatever ones we enforce, let's enforce them, whatever ones not, throw them out the window. You remember that conversation? And then life happens. And people bring flat maps that need to come into place and everything else. So it sounds romantic to be able to just flip a switch and say, let's get that done. But amongst all the other things that the planning commission is dealing with ordinances and with the other day-to-day stuff that they're dealing with, that just hasn't happened overnight like we were hoping that it would, and like we thought that it would. And from a city management perspective, I can see that falling by the wayside, because the only issues that we really deal with are the crises that we see coming down the road, and the only crises that are at hand when it comes to code enforcement is when somebody has a complaint. So we tell them to go through the process, and that's what it is. I think there definitely could be some work there, and I agree with bringing somebody from outside if that's the choice that the commission decides to do.
I just need 1 more minute.
No, you don't. You need lots more than 1 minute. We're gonna move on. Doug, we're gonna start with you here, if that's all right. Do you believe our parks are being properly maintained? Would you support more funding for our public parks and even providing more public spaces such as ball fields, bike parks, etc.? And how would you fund such things if you do support that?
You know, I love the fact that we have city parks, and I think it's a great addition to our community. It's fun to go over there and, you know, see kids fishing and things like that. It gives us people things to do. I love the sports court. I know they're heavily utilized. The tennis courts, which is now basically turned into pickleball courts. So you know, I don't spend a ton of time over there myself. I ride my bike around there a little bit. It's hard to know exactly, you know, as I've ridden my bike around the park and just a few things, you know, there's some things that I see that I think, you know, I would wish we kept our walkways cleaner, you know, the rocks and things that are on them. People walk or ride bikes or whatever, and I don't know how often that's checked, to be honest with you, but it would be nice if those things were, you know, just kept looking nice all the time. And I guess one thing going forward that I'd like to see, and I mentioned this a little bit before, is looking for grants, get grant money. I certainly am opposed to the city going into debt to build things like that.
Okay.
So I think that one of the things that makes our community so great is the fact that we have those public resources. I know growing up here as a kid, it was nice to have places to do things like that. I think that overall, in general, especially compared to a lot of other communities, I do think that we do a good job of maintaining them. I think there are things that could be done better. As far as the budget is concerned, I think that it comes down to weighing what is the most important at the time. And for right now, if the parks and things are functioning correctly, unless there's just a big outcry in the community to try to deeply change something, I don't think that it should be a priority over certain other things that might need it more. I don't think going into debt would be worth it. I think if it did need more funding, the grant route or looking for another way to get that done would be more optimal than trying to go into debt or pull funding from something else to try to maintain it.
Mindy?
Can you repeat the last part of your question?
Absolutely. Do you believe our parks are properly maintained? Would you support more funding for our public parks and even providing more public space such as ball fields, bike parks, et cetera, and how would you fund it?
So I think that our city employees actually do a great job with the parks. The ponds is a little yuck, but I don't think that that's on them. I give them a pass. So, I feel like that a lot of the citizens of the community, I've heard a lot of talk about them wanting ball fields, like a complex where we can have tournaments and different things, maybe more, soccer fields. I've heard that since I went, pushing for a bike park. There are ways to fund it, there are grants, but this is something that we're gonna have to do, working together with the community, bringing together like-minded people, bringing together their talents and their abilities, and working together to make it happen. You can go to the county and try to get them to help fund some of the money to do it. There are ways to bring things that we want to have. Do they take priority over the necessities? Absolutely not.
So Cam had a really good point, and I agree with him 100%. Budgetary items are, obviously, if we could wave that magic wand and say there's $1 million that's here and $1 million that's there for us to go buy property and to go build a new park, it would be a wonderful thing for us to do. Funding it is something that I definitely don't agree with going into debt with. I think as we look at, as we talked at the very first of the meeting, we're talking about growth within our community, responsible growth. As we start looking into that future perspective, especially as developers are looking to develop larger portions of land, I think we need to have those planned into those developments where we have complexes in them. Our Little League field, we pretty well build it out right in the middle of town. Just about every square inch of it is used to the extent possible. We're still working on trying to maximize that the best we can, but we definitely are looking at that as growth occurs and as the need is there.
I think, as far as the parks go, I think we have enough park for the existing time right now, other than the ball field. They've done away with the church ball field now, that was used every day in the summer by multi-teams. I don't know where they're gonna practice now. They have to schedule this park, half of them can't even get in, so they're doing it in their backyard of their homes or whatever, and I'm gonna push for a new ball complex. Not to take money out of our hands, but to build it to the point that we can have tournaments here, we can bring revenue in. Our town is growing, we're gonna need more in the future. Being involved with that part, there's grants out there for a lot of that. The Little League will even put up a big chunk of money for Little League fields, the county, different places that we could raise a lot of money. We want activities for our kids to keep them busy doing things that are constructive, not getting in trouble and causing problems.
I think as far as maintaining our parks, I think our employees do a good job with what they can, but also I think a lot of that, the parks, the garbage, the dogs, things like that, that falls on us, each of us as citizens as well. You know, a lot of this was built with manpower, volunteer hours, you know, and it's still on us to take care of it afterwards as well. But I also would like to see some more opportunities for our youth, whether a ball complex, and again, finding ways to pay for that so we're not going into debt. Not everybody will use that. It'll be used for specific people that want to do that. We can look at the RAP tax. I'm also, Jim Shirtliff, the Arts Council here in town. Love to see a stage. You know, we're going to lose that with the church as well when that's gone. To see it for everybody, the RAP tax in the county, where we can apply for grants that way to help pay for some of these things. But again, the numbers have to make sense. We can't just build something for fun, we gotta find ways to, whether that'll bring money in afterwards after you build it, but then pay for itself and maintain itself, but it has to make sense.
Many of you talked about extracurricular and youth sports, and I think that's an important topic. So let's talk about a little bit, how much responsibility do you believe the city has in providing youth sports and extracurricular activities for youth? And, you know, Gerald, you mentioned you're gonna push for a complex. The rest of you, what would you like to see the city do to either push and progress the extracurricular and sports, or if you don't feel that that's the responsibility of the city, what would you do to pull back? Canton?
That working? Perfect. So I think that can be a very complex answer. I think that the easiest way that I could think of that would be to find out how much the community needs it by gauging the constituency. How viable is it going to be? Is it going to make the money back that it costs to build it? If we're going to do something for baseball and soccer fields, is the revenue going to be worth the risk that it takes to build it? How available are the grants? How quickly can we get them? I still don't think it would be something that would be worth pulling away funding that might be desperately needed in other areas. I don't think it's worth going into debt for. I think how long will it take to make? It is a big one. I think that would have to be looked at, as well as, you know, how quickly is it going to pay for itself, if that's the angle that we're trying to take. Obviously, I'm a huge supporter of having good activities for the youth to be able to do here, as long as it makes sense and as long as the community is behind us and they're willing to make that sacrifice as well.
Mindy?
I think it's important, but it's definitely not the city's responsibility to provide entertainment for our youth. As of right now, our city rec program, it pays for itself. Any money that Kobe brings in, it pays his wage. The city is not going in debt for state rec. I think there's ways to make money right now. The city doesn't charge to use the sports court, doesn't charge to use any of the facilities, but yet it costs to run the power and the air in the building. I think charging a small fee might be a good idea. It could bring in some money to help put into a fund for any of these ideas that people have. I'm not against any of these ideas like a softball complex or anything. I think they're great. That keeps our kids busy and involved and not riding their dirt bikes down the street or over here on the grass. Is it our responsibility? No, but I think we should work with people and find ways so that we have things for our citizens to do.
I agree that it's not the city's responsibility to provide for the entertainment for our youth. Currently, in 2018, our rec program, we have 535 kids that signed up for programs within the city was offering. We currently have 840. So 60% increase over a 6-year, 7-year period of time. So you can see that there's a need that's there. There's a desire that's there, and as long as those programs are financially sustaining themselves and it's not a burden on the rest of the community to provide those, it's the people who are utilizing the resource there that's paying for it. I'm in 100% support of it. I agree that it's good to have things for the kids to do. In talking about the infrastructure that was there, I know at one time when we were talking about the park, we talked about building it in phases. Jared Holt was an instrument in making sure that we built this park, we finished it. Look at what we're utilizing it now. We've got a soccer field that we're utilizing full time. We have a sports court that's being used all the time.
I'm not gonna go over the time.
I don't know exactly everything about it, but I know every city has a rec program that's part of their program. Yes, it should pay for itself. I look at our facilities that we have now, they're nice facilities. I don't know what the future plan would be for the property. There's an option that they could sell this property, which would almost pay for a new complex by funds that way also, along with grants and everything. no, it's not the city's responsibility, but every city has that program in their cities. And I think that it is something that needs to be provided for our kids in order to do things like saying, well, we're up to 800 and something kids that are in this program. What are they gonna be doing if we don't have a program or have these facilities?
So I've looked into this a little bit over the years as far as the benefit of youth sports, of youth arts, getting your kids involved in these kind of things. I think the city should be involved. Now, again, it's paying for itself, that's key, obviously charging a fee and helping out those who might not be able to afford it, make sure their kids can participate as well. But the physical health, mental health, communication, leadership skills, all these things, how to work with somebody else, all these things you learn in team sports. And you learn by participating in group activities with other people. And I think it's a benefit we can't overlook versus strictly looking at it as, is it all financial? Now, again, it's got to pay for itself, but there are benefits outside of that. Now, if we do put in something like a complex, you got to maximize that space. You got to maximize your fields to where your outfields, your baseball fields, or your soccer fields, or your flag football fields that don't just have to serve a single purpose, but can be used for multiple things. You started that? Oh, Ken did. Ken, over there.
I am a big proponent of youth sports. I put myself through college, working for the city of St. George, running their youth sports program down there. Spent hours and hours over 4 years out on the fields, doing soccer, softball, just everything that the city did for youth sports. I thought it was an amazing opportunity for kids to get kids involved in things to keep them off, the streets and doing other things that the kids are going to inevitably do if they don't have something to do. Enterprise is still a small rural community though. I just don't, I would love to have a sports complex here. I think it would be amazing for the kids, it would be amazing for the community. But when you do something like that, you have the maintenance and the overhead that goes along with that. And that is expensive. So if we can't justify it and pay for it, we should not pass that burden on to taxpayers. Absolutely not. If we can somehow justify it and it pays for itself, I would be a huge proponent of that.
We're going to move on to fire and EMS. We have been extremely fortunate in this community with volunteers for our fire and EMS, and we're grateful for each and every one of them. And the service and time and energy that they put in to providing that service for this community and the surrounding area, not just this community. Now, this question came from a citizen, and we're going to start with you, Mayor Humphreys, because I'll admit I'm pretty ignorant here on the question, and a lot of you may be as well, and that's okay. But if we can get Mayor Humphreys to answer first, and then any of the others. But it seems like the Dameron Valley Fire Department's ruffled a few feathers with the fire and EMS. Okay, you laugh. You see where this is going? What are you going to do to protect the Enterprise Fire and EMS services from being taken over by Dameron Valley?
This is something that we've been working really closely with. I've been working with Chief Moody on this one, and it seems like we went to, I want to say we didn't necessarily go to sleep on it, but we felt like that we had this issue completely solved, and it was a done deal 2 years ago. The county commission had said, Dameron Valley's not going anywhere. We told them they're not going anywhere, and the next thing I know, I'm getting emails from some concerned citizens in Dameron Valley, by the way, who are saying, hey, why are you letting us pay for our fire department to come and take over the U-18 corridor? So then we go back and find out that you can't be left for 1 second asleep when it comes to what we cover and what potentially can come into our community. It's a lot of learning. It's taken a long time to learn what it is about fire and EMS. There's licensing with the state. There's boundaries. There's working with control. There's working with the sheriff's department. There's a lot to it, and 1 minute doesn't give me a chance even to come close to talking with what we're doing. But I can tell you that what we are doing to make sure that Dameron Valley doesn't come and take over is we're paying attention to that. We know where our boundaries are. We have to have some very uncomfortable conversations with them. And when you go to a fire chief's meeting, by the way, and you say, stay in your lane, it's not very popular. Just from experience.
So in answering the question, I understand some of you may not understand what's going on there. I don't. But if you don't, that's okay. But please just let us know what you will do to protect our fire and EMS and make sure that they continue to be, I mean, in my opinion, one of the best we have in the state.
Well, I know that we've worked hard and long to get it where it is. And there's been a lot of very good, I can't say employees because it's a lot of volunteer. But do you know how many hours these guys spend, EMS, firemen, doing things that way? I just wish there was a way to compensate them a little more. That's a whole other subject. As far as the Dameron Valley thing, I'm not really aware of a lot of that. I knew there was a little conflict, but no detail on it. But we've got to fight to keep what we have, because we do have one of the best in the industry. I mean, we're first on the place, we're right on Johnny on the spot, and we have a lot of good EMS and firefighters today. We need to really, and I'd like to congratulate them right now and give them a round of applause.
I agree. Shout out to Chief Moody and his crew and all those who do such a good job. You know, being a neighbor of his car leaves at all hours of the night, leaves at different times. I mean, always on call and taking care of us. The volunteers we have are incredible. I have a brief understanding of what is going on in Dameron Valley, and I agree with the mayor. We have to fight according to the rules. We have to play by that. We have to go to those who are making the decisions. We have to do all we can to fight to keep it and to protect what we are blessed to have here.
Yeah, I just echo some of those same things. I think, we are very fortunate to have the EMS and the fire department we have. It's comforting to know that, you know, if something happens, that we can make a phone call. We've got people here within a couple minutes. I'd hate to see that jeopardized in any way. So, yeah, I don't know a ton about what's going on down in Dameron Valley. This is the first I've heard of it. So I think we need to do whatever we have to keep what we've got.
So a few years ago, I worked with the Gunlock Volunteer Fire Department, so I know a little bit about it, but from a different perspective. And we've talked a lot this evening about infrastructure and you know, community funding things are important. But one of the most important things that we have to remember is that, you know, the EMS fires is the most vital part of our growth. They're the first responders who we hope we never need, but we really need them when we do. And I think protecting them and making sure that they are able to get what they deserve as often as possible, we might not ever actually fulfill that as much as we would like to, is extremely important. And I just think that needs to be a really big focus, because no matter where people are on certain issues, ordinances or funding or anything else, one thing that we can all definitely, I think, agree on in the community, or at least should, is that we really need to protect our fire and our EMS. That's top priority.
From my understanding, from what I know of this, is that the county commissioner actually told Dameron Valley that they were not allowed to do any EMS transports in our area, and that they were only allowed to respond to fires from a particular mile marker on the road. From my own personal experience, just hearing my husband talk, Dameron tries to push their way into every call that's along the highway. They want to be there, they want the attention, and you'll see it in the news. I feel like Chief Moody is doing an excellent job. They formed the Chiefs Association along Highway 18 to try to put a stop to it, to get all the chiefs together so that they are stronger together than they are alone. As being the mayor, I feel like attending the county commission meetings is probably the most important way that we can stand up to them, being there, making sure that they don't slide through the cracks somehow.
Do you want any more time, Mayor?
It's one of those subjects that, it's a lot like a lot of the other subjects that we face, and I don't want to focus time on saying, beating on my chest or giving credit where it's not due. This is just one of those things that most of the people in the community have no clue what's going on, and it's something that we deal with. But I would deal with this as a resident, just to protect my community and to protect our fire and EMS. I support them 100%. This is just one of the really the small things that we deal with on a daily basis that affect or can affect our community. And you can't ever be asleep at the wheel on this thing.
All right, we'll go ahead. We're probably going to wrap it up with just a couple more questions. There's a lot of questions we didn't get asked, and I apologize if some of the questions you submitted did not get asked. But what are your specific ideas for supporting existing small businesses and attracting new businesses to Enterprise? Justin, how would you like to start?
I do think the small businesses is part of the challenge that we have. Like we talk about, we want to host a sports tournament, or we want to do something like that, help pay for a complex. When they get here, sometimes we don't have the services in other businesses like that. We need to make, in whatever way possible, it easier for businesses, protect those who are here, protect those from who maybe skirted ordinances to do one, and make sure we do it the right way, because it's critical as far as small business as well, the sales tax, that kind of stuff that's being collected to help fund the city operations to keep things going. And making sure that I know commercial impact fees can be quite high also. The cost to start up a business and to run one here can be quite high anywhere. And so just trying to eliminate as much red tape as possible to make it easier to bring those to town.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I am a big supporter of supporting local stuff. I love the fact that we have a dentist in town. You just happen to be sitting right there. But for me, in my mind, I can't see why everybody in town would support our local dentist. Or we have a doctor in town now. I think that's just amazing for Enterprise. Myself, I've waited years and years for us to have a doctor here in town, and I just think it's amazing we've got one. I hope that the community has a mindset of supporting the local businesses we have. I think our store, Carter's, I think Am does an amazing job. I think he works really hard at keeping prices low, and I try not to shop anywhere else. That's where I go, and so I am really someone that wants, that is a proponent of supporting local stuff. So,
someone who is self-employed, I think that it's extremely important to support local and small businesses. I think, as Justin already mentioned, removing as much red tape as possible and making it as easy and as cheap as possible for individuals to correctly start businesses is important. And I think anywhere that the city doesn't need to be involved, they shouldn't be involved. Whether it be local or federal or state government, whatever the level, I think that government does best with capitalism when they're pretty hands-off. So I think as long as the things that need to be enforced are, and we get as much red tape off of those and keep it as cheap and easy as possible for people to own businesses and to start businesses and then do our part as a community to support them, that's how I feel.
Mindy.
I'm a big fan of the small businesses here, and I appreciate all of them. I had this exact same conversation earlier today with a friend. We were discussing NICA races, and we were discussing also the softball complex and how these tournaments came. Where would people stay? Where would they eat? Could we even accommodate these large crowds that would come? So that definitely is an issue. Like, we can't start hosting these things if we aren't ready. So I am for letting more businesses come in. I think that we need them. I need some more places to go out to dinner.
Growth. Do you want it or do you not? That's $1 million question. Do you want it or do you not? I would vouch to say that Enterprise probably has the most home businesses of any city of this size in the state of Utah. we have a lot of entrepreneurs in Enterprise who do businesses that most people don't even realize. They buy and sell stuff that never comes into town and they never see it. There's a lot of home occupied businesses. Gerald's one of them. I know I'm one of them. There's a lot of people who do business from their home. I don't think that that's really what the question was, but there is a lot of business that takes place within the city. As far as the size and the outskirts, do we need more restaurants? Do we need more of that? That's the community to decide. We're right close enough to St. George and close enough to Cedar where we can go there, but it's not convenient. And so it's what the community decides and what the council decides they want to do.
When we look at, I'm gonna go back to the tournaments and stuff, there's a lot of people that I have talked to, a lot of, opportunities that they'd love to get out to St. George and come up here for the day to play ball, knowing that they'd be going back to St. George. It's a 35, 40-minute drive. We have Corn Fest here, brings a lot of people in. It's a one-day activity, but brings a lot into Enterprise. Those are things that I'm looking at, even if it's a 2-day tournament, not that big of a drive to go to St. George or whatever. Knowing that we're gonna have a tournament, we can provide, just like we do at the Little League Park, we can have meals and stuff there that brings revenue in at the ballpark itself. There's opportunities for it to make money to help pay for itself.
Well, that's gonna be the last, kind of formal question. I mean, the last question, I guess, is, it's not a question. Just go ahead and you got 1 minute to tell us whatever you want to tell us, Canton. We'll start with you and we'll work our way down, and Mindy, we'll end with you. So.
So I just want to say thank you to everybody who came, and thank you for the people who were able to put this on and make it happen. I'm grateful for the opportunity to even have been considered to this point. I hope you'll vote for me. Would be very happy to have the opportunity to volunteer time and to learn and help this community grow in the best direction possible. I'm very thankful to live here, and no matter what the outcome, I think that being able to raise a family here is a great gift. I think the reason why so many people want to move here and why we have all these talks about growth is because we have a culture here that's very special and unique, and as I've traveled and been other places, I think it's really important to protect what we have. And I think a small minority of people all on the same page can do a lot to persuade a lot of large growth from outlying sources. So that's, I guess, where I'm coming from, and I would be very thankful to be able to represent and help and work with everyone here. So thank you.
Yeah, I too would like to just say this is a very humbling opportunity to be able to be considered for, to be on the city council. I appreciate the opportunity. I think that, I've lived in Enterprise my whole life, of course, and I love this community. I wouldn't ever want to live anywhere else. I love the people here. We have so many good people that live here in Enterprise, and I just appreciate what we have. And I would like to keep what we have going forward. I think that one of the, I've done a lot of things in my life as far as occupations. I've worked for the Forest Service growing up. I've worked in the mining industry for 10 years, right? Yep. I'm a teacher now. I've taught at the elementary for 30, taught at St. George for 8 years, here in Enterprise for 20+ years. I've coached softball, I've coached basketball, I've done a lot of things, and I think that because I've done a lot of things, I think that maybe that will help me with maybe some of the decision making that will be required as a city council.
I look around up here and you're in good hands. All these people up here are amazing. We're all looking for your support. We're grateful for it. We're grateful you came out tonight. Enterprise is truly a special place, and I think that requires all of us working together. For me, I apologize. When you put a microphone in front of me, my mind goes all over the place. And then I'm not very good at the short version of anything. My kids will tell you when we go to the store, oh, Dad's talking again. and so if you ever want to talk more on an issue, please reach out at any time. We just appreciate the place that we have to live and that our kids will hopefully have to continue making it so special.
so. I too also thank you, for this opportunity. Several things have gone through my mind as we go forward here and as I look out. One of my concerns that's hard is, what do we have, maybe 75 people, 100 people here maybe, or whatever. How do we get the community more involved and caring, so that we have an idea of a direction to go? And we definitely want to listen to your ideas. We want to know the community's ideas. It seems like they're all in the background until something happens next to them, and then they're the loudest to speak. And so we want to be able to get more involved. Second thing that I'd like to go over is our master plan for the community was done 20-something years ago. I would like to review that and sit down and get a lot of community's opinions of the master plan and the direction that the whole community would like to go with that master plan, so we have a direction to go.
I hope, to the residents of Enterprise, that I've earned your vote. I hope you've seen, by what I've been willing to do and have done for you for the past 7 years and will continue to do for you. One's only as good as the people who work around them, and your city is in well hands. We've gone through a huge amount of changes over the last 7 years. Our power system's gone through changes. We now currently contract with Dixie Power to run our power system. When that power flickers, my phone rings, right, Sonny? At 4:20 in the morning, my phone rings, and I'm up talking to people on the phone. Who do I call? Where's the problem at? Where do we isolate it? If your water is out, which you don't see very often, we know exactly where to go. It takes time to learn the system, to learn the people to call, to know who to call on a county level, on a state level, on a local level, to keep things going. And I hope that you'll vote for me.
I'm not sure I'm thankful to be here. This might be the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. With that being said, if I am elected to be your mayor, I will give it my all. I will give it everything I have. When my name's on something, it's gonna be done right. I know there's so much that I don't know about, but I can surround myself with the people who do know. There are a lot of really smart people who have they know what I don't, and I'm gonna get them on board with me, and I'm gonna learn. I'm sure the day that Mayor Humphreys was put in, he was pretty nervous too and didn't know a lot, and I'm sure in 8 years, he's learned so much. And I expect that to be me if I'm elected, and thanks.
Thank you. Let's give, all of them another round of applause.
Six great people up here, grateful for them for coming and being willing to, be vulnerable for an hour and a half here for us. Please feel free to mingle, come and talk to them, share your thoughts, get their thoughts, whatever you want to do. Please eat some cookies. You guys have not eaten enough cookies, I can see, but please eat some cookies and like I said, the building's open, you're welcome to stay, and visit as long as, well, not
As long as wheels pay.
as long as, yeah, until we turn the lights on. Thank you.
Let's give Ben a hand.
Thank you.